How do economists figure out if a country's population is growing or shrinking without counting every single person? They don't have to, because no matter how massive a country is, its total population size is driven by just three moving parts: people being born, people dying, and people moving across the border. To track these three factors, economists use a simple mathematical baseline. Instead of looking at millions of individuals, they measure these events per 1,000 people in the population over a single year. Standardizing the math this way is crucial. It lets us put the growth rate of a tiny island nation and a massive global superpower side by side on a totally equal playing field. Let's look at those moving parts, starting with the birth rate. This is the number of live births for every 1,000 people in a year. Right next to it is the death rate, the number of deaths for every 1,000 people in that same year. Subtracting the death rate from the birth rate gives the natural increase, the math of who arrives and leaves. But if a country has more deaths than births, the math flips. The natural increase becomes negative, meaning the population shrinks. Think of this natural increase as a country's internal heartbeat. It shows us exactly how the local population is changing, completely separate from any outside influences. But borders are porous. People pack up and move. When people enter a country to live and work, that is immigration. When they leave their home country to live abroad, that is emigration. To find the net migration rate, we subtract the number of people leaving from those coming in, all measured per 1,000 people. Migration can override biology. A country with more deaths than births can still see its total population grow if enough people are moving in. These rates look different depending on the economy. Take nations where most people work on farms. They typically experience very high birth rates. In these environments, children are often needed to help with manual labor. Raising a child is relatively inexpensive there, and women often have fewer opportunities for higher education or careers. At the same time, these agricultural nations often face high death rates. Limited healthcare, poverty, and poor sanitation make it harder for people to live long lives. Contrast that with wealthier, more industrial nations. Thanks to high-quality healthcare, better nutrition, and widespread education, their death rates are much lower. This chart shows the population growth of a high-income nation over time. Notice how the line dips below zero. Because raising children in a modern, service-based economy is very expensive, and more people prioritize professional careers, birth rates often plummet. These differences also drive migration. People frequently leave farm-based nations to move to wealthier ones in search of higher salaries and better job opportunities. As a country develops, the driver of its population change shifts. It moves away from high birth rates and becomes defined by longer life expectancies and migration. When we put it all together, we get a master equation. Total population growth equals your natural increase plus your net migration. But if you are studying this for an exam, there are two major traps to watch out for. First, do not confuse the birth rate with the fertility rate. Birth rate measures births per 1,000 people. Fertility rate looks at the average children born to a single woman. To keep a population stable, economists track the replacement fertility rate, an average of exactly 2 children per woman. The second trap is about net migration. The math treats all physical movement the same. It counts a highly paid worker and an undocumented refugee as identical units, even though their reasons for moving are completely different. Understanding these definitions helps economists anticipate a society's future needs, whether that means building more schools for a booming youth population or training more healthcare workers to support the elderly.